And you get the feeling that this is someone is watching. And as we move around the house, we're going to peek into a window. We're going to start setting up this original crime. This shot took all night to shoot. We did about 8 or 9 takes of it. There's the pointer girl necking, and this is the killer's sister back in '63. He's going to kill her in a little bit for sexual reasons.
You don't yet know that the killer is a child, obviously, and the point of view hasn't told you that it's a young person.
And actually, when you think about it, the point of view is too high for a child. But so now we look back. There's nothing coming that way. We come back around there. The cables on the porch from the lights we don't want to see. We look up. As the lights go off, there's a little music cue right there, which kind of gets our attention, draws our attention to what's going to happen. What is this guy doing? As our point of view is moving around the house, inside the house, the crew is moving every light around to relight for another direction, and it sounds like a herd of elephants in there, but of course you don't know it here. So we come into the kitchen. Deborah Hill is dressed in the clown outfit, and she's right by the camera. And as we move into the drawer and go out of focus, her hand comes in, way out of focus, but we do it so quickly that hopefully you don't notice. You can actually see some camera shadows as we come through here. There's one right there on the door. Literally, you have a person with this camera moving through this real house and giving you the sense that it's gliding and floating. Now he's going to see on the stairway, whoops, there's a little bump there where the camera operator is trying to get through the doorway. He's going to see his sister.
Look, Judy, it's really late. I gotta go.
Will you call me tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Promise?
Yeah.
Actually, there's just the boyfriend.
Now, there's a relevance here, which is that the boyfriend was kissing her passionately before, but as he leaves, she says, will you call me? And he goes, yeah. Implying that he's already, he's done, finished, he's out of there.
He's out of there, and he's used her, basically. It's a kind of a cheap
so she has fallen
situation.
into the team temptation of doing the things that her parents would have told her not to do.
Terrible stuff, isn't it? Now we're going to go up the stairs and try not to bump the camera as we go up. And this whole little parade of people is moving through this set. Now, the first cut in this shot is coming when the mask goes on. Kind of a phallic-looking mask there.
That's Deborah Hill's hand again. That
was the cut, because these mask holes that's an optical. That's not shot through the mask. So now we're going to come in, and the sister is brushing her hair and is very naked. Now the odd thing here that no one ever seems to remark on is as he's killing her, in order to show, he looks over at his own hand like this. He looks away from his victim to what he's doing. Now, we did it for an obvious reason, but it's psychologically kind of bizarre. There's a cut there, coming around the corner, and there's another cut right there for time, because it took the camera a long time to come around those corners. So that was done to make it move faster. As we come out the door, we're cueing, here comes the parents, and now the camera operator has to kneel down in order to look up.
Michael?
Now we're in the reverse. We're on a crane here, and now we reveal it's a little boy, which is the first shock of the film. And this is the American tableau here, pulling back, and they're just sort of standing, staring at him. So I just had the idea of incorporating this strange feel of a Panaglide as the point of view of our killer in the movie. But then use it stylistically throughout the film so that you can't tell, is this his point of view or not?
It also does something which, actually in later years, our censors have had a problem with, which is it can cause the audience to identify with different members, and our censor would say, for example, well, it identifies with the killer.
Well, no. Identification in movies is a whole different process. You really need 3 shots to identify with somebody. It really isn't that you're in the character's point of view. It's you see the character, you see what he sees, and you see his reaction, his or her reaction. That's where you identify.
Well, who needs books anyway? I don't need books. I always forget all my books.
Of course, the movie's set in Halloween, which is autumn, but it's not shot that time of year at all, is it?
No, it's in the spring. We had phony leaves and stuff. It's also supposed to be in Illinois, but if you look carefully in the background, you see these palm trees sticking up.
You reach me?
Most of the film was shot right down the street here, off of Sunset Boulevard on Orange Grove Avenue. It was fun. Listen, this movie, it would be a lie for me to say anything else, but we were having a blast. We were young. We were just out there making a film. There weren't many of us on the crew.
There's also the real threatening thing is the fact of its setting, that it's set in these, you know, lovely wide streets with nice houses, nice people, nice middle-class suburban setting. It does have a sort of late 50s, early 60s feel to the streets, the school kids, what they're doing, that actually predates, for example, that retro feel of Twin Peaks, again, the small American town in which everybody seems to be living in the 50s anyway. Were you aware of that?
That was probably just my own look at small town life. I grew up in a small town in the South. It was very much like the town in Halloween. I always say to people who ask me about what was it like growing up in Bowling Green, Kentucky in the 50s and 60s in a little small town. And the truth of it is, despite how beautiful a town it was to look at, everything that I know about evil, I learned in that little town.
But there's also something else going on in that film, which is to do with teenage anxieties. The characters are in situations of, you know, they're becoming sexually aware, they're undressing, that kind of thing. That could be read as what brings the boogeyman to them.
Part of the reputation of Halloween is that all the girls who are promiscuous are the ones that get killed. But my thought was that Jamie Lee Curtis's character is more like the killer because she's repressed. The other girls are just acting normally. They're just normal teenagers. And they're not paying attention to their surroundings. They're assuming that this beautiful little middle-class town is going to stay the same as it always has. They're not aware of the danger. But I didn't intend any moral in that.
This sequence I find particularly fascinating. This is the three girls walking down the street. This, to me, absolutely says Twin Peaks, and I think this is where Twin Peaks actually got many of these sequences from. One of the girls goes off, and this is the first time they're aware of Michael Myers, very fleetingly. Tell me about the way in which you see him.
Well, actually, if you look carefully, now we see him down the street standing there. It's Jamie who sees him. The other girl doesn't. Ducks behind the hedge. Is he there? Is he not there? Did I just see something?
Oh, look.
Look where?
Behind the bush.
We're putting a shadow of a doubt a little bit in our minds about, did Jamie really, is she imagining something?
Subtle, isn't he? Hey, creep.
He's not there. Wobble, wobble with the camera.
Laurie, dear.
You can see my cigarette smoke drifting in from off screen.
He wants to take you out tonight.
Again, this whole thing is shot with a Panaglide, and even the close-ups. Partially because I like the feel of it, but also you could move the camera very quickly.
Standing right there.
Poor Laurie. Scared another one away.
And the Panaglide point of view is changing from her point of view to the killer's point of view to individual character's point of view. That could be confusing, but you're using it to deliberately disorientate the audience.
You don't know when he's going to be looking or when another character is looking. So basically it throws you off from all your cues. Now this, on the other hand, is a conventional dolly shot with a 30mm lens. So it's very smooth. This is all on sticks, so you don't have that feel anymore. All of a sudden we're back into kind of traditional filmmaking. We're anchored again, okay? We're anchored again in the standard techniques.
Now what about the creation of the shape? Because it's the blankest of anti-heroes in many ways. And of course the mask is somebody famous, right?
The mask is a William Shatner Star Trek mask, which doesn't look anything like William Shatner, but it's spray painted white. It's almost like the comedy tragedy mask you see in the drama. It's just blank. You read into it evil, as opposed to there being anything there. It's not a snarling killer. It's not a personality. It's a thing. It's a force of nature.